Hello and welcome to Take Time. I am your host, Patrick Marlett, and today we're going to be talking about Nodus watches with the creators of the brand, Wes and Cullen. If you don't know these guys, they're a relatively new micro brand on the scene, and of course I'm going to be featuring some of their watches on the channel, but today we're going to be taking a tour around Battery Park and getting to chat about their brand. So, come along.
I'm Cullen. I'm in charge of assembly and quality control at Nodus.
I'm Wes. I take care of the website and all of the marketing.
Well, for me, it started at a young age. I always loved tinkering with things. I loved things that were put together and worked as a single unit. So it started out with me assembling computers for gaming, and then it went to guitars. As I got into guitars, we actually assembled our own guitars back in high school. And then when I was gifted my first watch, it was natural for me to, get really into them and dive deeper into the whole world of watches.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up guitars because it was that was when I noticed that Cullen had a knack for tinkering and an eye for detail. So a natural progression for us. Like, we went our separate ways after high school, and then both got into watches. And when we got back together, I saw that he was like putting, I think it was like a Black Bay together with a bunch of like Franken parts.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, this is kind of cool. We can do something with this.
Well, it all started with passion. Before we started Nodus, we were just really into watches, just as everyone else is. It's whether we're on forums, on Instagram, on any of the watch communities on social media. We were in it, we were participating in it, we were very obsessed. We bought and flipped a lot of watches just like everyone else. And then from there, this guy had the crazy idea of, why don't we just start our own company? Because we were at a point in our lives where
it just made sense.
It just made sense because we're young, we didn't have any obligations, and we had the resources to start this company, so we took advantage of that, and here we are.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about also finding the right business partner. And we'd been friends since we were kids, and I always had a dream to start something up with this guy, but never knew exactly what it was. So when this inkling of an idea did come about, we jumped straight onto it. Yeah, so we had the idea, decided, all right, let's give it a try, and we basically just put a design together and booked tickets to China to the Hong Kong fair. This was in 2016. And 2016, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So the Hong Kong Watch and Clock Fair is an annual event that happens in Hong Kong, and it's basically one of the few times in the year and in the world where all the manufacturers for all the big Swiss brands, all the little micro brands come together into one room. So it's a very good way to be efficient with your time. Just literally knock on booth after booth and shake hands.
For the Retrospect, we really wanted to focus on vintage divers from the 60s that had the inward sloping bezel. We noticed a lot of watches in the market right now don't have that inward sloping bezel, so we wanted to bring that back into the market, but as a modern reinterpretation of those divers from the 60s.
Yeah, and for the Contrail, we really wanted to perfect the sport watch case, and so obviously the Explorer is one of the main inspirations. But more than that, the Zin 104, the whole concept of a diver that can serve a purpose more than just diving, we thought that was pretty cool. So that's when we figured, let's put a GMT bezel on this, but have the 200 meter water resistance that's normal for standard divers. Yeah. So this is up for pre-order now, the Contrail. After that, it's going to be the Avalon. It's been in the works for almost 2 years now, and it feels like a dark cloud looming over us. We want to finally just get it out in the world. It took a long time because of engineering difficulties. It's a pretty complex piece to make, but we're finally just about there and almost ready to put it out. So that's going to be end of the year this year or early next year.
And to tell you what it is, it's essentially our take on a Seiko dive watch. It takes a lot of cues from Seiko's rather complex case design, as well as different polished and brushed surfaces. It has a 4 o'clock crown and a lot of other small details that are reminiscent of a range of Seiko divers. And we're really excited to get this one out to you guys.
I have the Contrail 39 in Mute Gray, which is, this one's a prototype of our model up for pre-order now.
For me, it's the Retrospect glossy black dial with the stainless steel bezel.
So mine was a Tissot my dad bought me for when I graduated high school. It was just some Quartz department store Tissot. Yeah, nothing special, but I still have it. Never gonna let it go.
For me, it was a black Quartz 3-hand Titus watch. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but I got it for my graduation in high school. Just like another cheap department store watch. And then sadly, it completely shattered when I had a skateboarding accident back in college. So I don't have it anymore, unfortunately. But I'll always remember it.
Yeah, to keep it simple, buy what you like and like what you buy. The thing about an enthusiastic group like this is that their opinions tend to be very strong and hard to sway. And if your opinion starts to be predicated on all these influencers and reviews and all that stuff, it kind of ruins the hobby. So if you see something you like, I would just buy it. And if you don't like it, let it go. If you do, hold on to it.
For me, it's you should do your research. Obviously, buy a lot and flip a lot, because that's probably the easiest and fastest way to learn what you really like.
Yeah, one brand that actually inspired us in starting this was a brand out of Vancouver called Helios.
No one knows them anymore.
No one knows them, right? Another one actually based 2 hours away from here in Wayne, Pennsylvania, Mark II. One that caught my eye recently is Monta. I also like Ferrer a lot. That's a UK-based micro brand.
In terms of bigger brands, we're obviously huge Seiko guys. Oris is another one that really speaks to us, as well as Zin and Damasco.
Yeah, we can go for days.
About the stuff that we want. Doxa, a lot of stuff catches our eye. And,
obviously the big guys like Omega, Rolex, we have to have respect for them. But I found that recently our interests have been going more towards the Oris, Zin, Monta level price range. At least for now. Who knows what 6 months will hold for us. When people have an interest in a certain model by a certain brand, the next thing that they end up doing is like they have this mental checklist. If it meets all the specs. Is the glass sapphire? Is the movement high beat? Where's the movement from? Things like that. And ultimately, all these parts come out of the same factory. Whether it's a small micro brand, whether it's a factory-owned brand, whether it's a Swatch Group brand, all the factories are owned by the same guys. All of them are making the same things. So you can't really look at that and have that be, let that dictate whether or not you get a watch. You need to look more at the emotional aspect, the intangibles. How does the design make you feel? Does the brand stand for something that you respect? And if we do, then yeah, I think you should buy one of our watches. And if not, then I actually don't think you should buy one of our watches.
In terms of quality control, we put in a lot of effort with our regulation, with our inspection, with our assembly. A lot of watch enthusiasts also just like knowing the people behind the brand, the faces behind the brand. They like knowing who they're talking to, and then once that personal connection is established, it really means a lot more than buying from a huge corporate watch company. It's about community.
Ultimately, yeah, that is
getting to know one another, and on top of that, it's all the quality control and regulation that we do in-house for the customer.
Camera rolls. I do this. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
What you don't know is that I'm going to be actually hanging out with these guys in a few. Wes and Cullen have invited me for a get-together, a New York get-together with some local photographers that live in the area. If you follow my Instagram, you probably follow these guys as well. They do a lot of product photography on their own Instagrams. But we're doing a small get-together with some personalities. I might be filming that as part of a vlog, so stay tuned for that, obviously. Again, my name is Patrick Marlett. If you enjoyed the content today, if you guys want to see more stuff from these guys, you can hit a link in the description to view their watches now. But of course, I will feature them on the show as well. Wait for the review, because you know what? You're riding on my opinion before you buy these watches. Don't ride on my opinion. They're beautiful watches. The Avalon looks amazing. The Avalon looks really amazing. I'm trying to stay that away from them, because I wouldn't mind getting one. But gang, thank you for staying tuned with the channel. I know you've been wanting more interviews, so I'm glad I was able to shoot one for you guys today. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.